Welcome to Trails Around World. I am Laura.
I'm Thomas.
Today we are going to talk about the excursion we made to Cadbury factory, Cadbury World, where we saw now actually it's closed the factory, but was and is very, very famous in England. Why?
Yeah.
Why is so famous in England?
Because in the UK, the main chocolate that we eat is called Cadbury's, and it's very historical. Before Nestle and Milka and all these things, it was the first mass-produced Cadbury's in the UK, and it has a very distinctive taste. The most popular, maybe you've seen it, is called Dairy Milk, and it's like a normal chocolate bar, but it's got a purple design on the packaging. So.
And one thing we saw there is very nice. You can go with the childrens, but well, I didn't know by the company from USA.
Yeah.
And the problem is the factory actually is closed, no, and closed and moved to Poland.
Yeah, well, it's a long history. It's a long history. Basically, Cadbury's was opened in 1823 by John Cadbury. The guy, he first of all, he owned a tea shop in Birmingham, but at that time there was a lot of tea from China, and it wasn't a good business. So afterwards, he decided to hire a Chinese guy, an actual Chinese guy, which in the UK 200 years ago was super rare.
Mm-hmm.
All the locals came to look at his tea, and the business started to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And also he was selling other things in the tea shop, which now are illegal, like opium, heroin. Back then it was legal. People used to go to a cafe and they would drink tea, take heroin, normally by smoking it. And afterwards, when society became more conservative, they changed more to drinking chocolate and coffee also.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but he decided to get on the chocolate bandwagon, and he began importing chocolate. I think, was it from Spain? Did we see it in the museum, or from South America?
Yeah.
Because Spain discovered it first.
No, but came the king to England.
Yeah.
And gave the chocolate to the queen.
Gave the chocolate to the Queen of England at the time.
Yeah.
But he was buying the chocolate grounds.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, the chocolate grounds, you can't eat it like that. You have to make you have to mix it with things and make a product.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made his first product, Dairy Milk, which was super successful. Everyone loved it. A very unique taste, and even now British people still love it. And so if you see Cadbury's Dairy Milk, that's why we eat it everywhere.
And also it's like a park for children, well, for children and adults. It's very nice. They give you a lot of chocolate, and they are a shop. And also there are like if you remember the movie Make Johnny Depp, no? You are in like a car.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Willy Wonka. It's not, of course, so fantastic because Willy Wonka has magic and you can't make the real magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the factory. You go around, you see how the chocolate's made. Mm-hmm. You can taste the chocolate until you feel sick. Yeah, yeah. Really a lot. You had too much, didn't you? And in the end, you gave me the chocolate to eat. But no, it was good.
How many people do you remember? How many people were working in the factory?
When we went?
No, when we went, there was like people like showing how it's making some things, but really we don't see the people working. The factory is empty. And the people, you told me, the people from England is very annoyed because they moved to Poland.
Well, this is another history. When John Cadbury first made the Cadbury when it became successful, he decided he wanted to make the Cadbury chocolate, but because the image of the company was wholesome and healthy, he decided to make the chocolate. Outside the city, because at the time, as I told you in the last video, the Black Country was very industrial and polluted. And of course, it destroys the taste of the luxury chocolate and also destroys the image. Of course, Victorians, they thought, ooh, if it's made in Birmingham, it's going to be disgusting. Yeah. So he decided to make the chocolate in the countryside. So he bought an area of land which was next to the city, next to Birmingham, but empty, with lots of trees and forests and grass. And that area was called Bourneville.
Yeah.
And Cadbury's, they still make some chocolate called Bourneville.
Mm-hmm. It's
actually their dark chocolate. But so he decided to set up the factory there, and then it became more and more successful. And because obviously where the village was, there wasn't enough housing and stuff for the workers. Mm-hmm. He decided to build an entire community for them to live in. And it was a bit like a communist community, but of course it was still a normal company. And so he built nice houses, nice cottages for them to live in, schools for the families to go to, really excellent schools. Mm-hmm. He provided them with healthcare free and built churches. And really it was considered like an amazing place, especially considering how polluted the Black Country was to live. And the quality of life for the workers was fantastic. Wow. And if you think this was in 1823, which was 100 years before communism even existed, or socialism or anything like that. So he did it voluntarily out of the goodness of his heart. But also he was a new type of Christian, Methodist, and the Methodists, they believe in taking care of your community. I don't know everything about them, but I know that's one of the things that they believe in. So yeah, but the only downside was that they're teetotal, so they don't drink. So he didn't build any pubs or anything like that. Oh. The workers, they had nice gardens and nice houses and nice schools and hospitals, but no pubs or anything like that. But,
only drink chocolate.
Yeah, and also as the business became more successful, they could take a share of the profit, like a partnership. Nowadays we call that partnership.
Yeah. But the problem now, the people is not working, move the factory to Poland.
Well, that's right.
Nothing.
The Cadbury's, after 200 years, in 2010, was bought by an American company. It was bought by a big company, one of the biggest food companies in the world, called Kraft. And most British people are super, super annoyed about this. Doesn't matter, all across the political spectrum, very angry. And actually, in my opinion, it finished the government that was in power at the time. Because there was the financial crisis. The UK did okay, it wasn't too bad. Countries like Spain, they suffered badly. The UK, we were okay. But after the crisis, the profits were down a little bit, but not a lot. Still doing good business. Cadbury's was still making chocolate in the West Midlands. And then the Kraft came along and said, "Oh, we like this business. We want to buy it and make inside our business." But Kraft didn't have enough money because Cadbury's was also a big company. So they took money from one of the government banks, from RBS, which the government had rescued with taxpayer money, and it cost us like 80 billion to rescue the bank.
Wow.
They took money. I mean, 80 billion, that's like the GDP of Greece. And they took money from that bank, the government-owned bank, and then used it to buy Cadbury's. And part of the condition that they got the money was that they wouldn't move any of the manufacturing out of the UK. They would keep everything locally produced and locally made. And then literally the next year, they decided to move production to Poland, and they just shut down their entire factory.
Wow. So, imagine. I think it's very awful. Happens this, no? It's like a historical. The people from here got the job, no?
Yeah.
And lost the job, lost the history about the chocolate, and also it's not chocolate, it's sugar. I hate. I'm sorry. It's very sweet for me.
We'll talk about that next.
And also remember, I against about oil palm, and really, it's all with oil palm. If the people don't know, create cancer.
Anyway, it's doubly ironic that John Cadbury, the Methodist values allowed him to make the community for his workers, and then afterwards a big American company comes along and just shuts everything down and sends everyone back to Poland.
Yeah.
So, and of course all the workers lost their good jobs.
Yeah, but so also like, the money, take the government.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gone.
So it's like
it's like a fake.
It's like fake,
yeah.
And then afterwards, after moving the production to Poland, and there's nothing wrong, obviously, with producing things in Poland. It's just that historically it had always been made in Birmingham, and so of course that's the reason that it's not popular in the UK anymore. The company Cadbury's.
Yeah, I think it's very sad.
And then after moving the production abroad, they did what most American companies do and try to save as much money as possible on the production. So not just move abroad, but also change the ingredients. And so before, Cadbury's used to have a really distinctive taste. As I told you, when the Spanish king brought it to England,
it was very strong.
Yeah, it was very strong with all it was the cocoa, milk. That's why it was called dairy milk. And that was the cocoa solids, the white cocoa fat. They separate and then bring back together again. And some sugar. It was just 3 or 4 ingredients, super simple and a very distinctive taste. And then afterwards they decided to, I mean, now you look on the back of dairy milk and it's got 50 ingredients. I'll put a link to some of the ingredients, but it's got palm oil and tons of sugar and lots of artificial chemicals and preservatives.
Well, you can feel when you eat some chocolate real. It's very difficult to find here in England. I am trying to find a good chocolate, but it's very difficult. Only other brand we're not going to talk today. I'm sorry for Cadbury if they are seeing us like we don't like.
Well, it's actually it's very frustrating because there's some Cadbury's still made in Ireland, and Kraft never got hold of that franchise. and it's still made to the original recipe and tastes amazing.
Yeah, was in Australia or New Zealand? I don't know.
Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland. It still tastes very good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the three. But in the UK and the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, now they think dairy milk's rubbish because they've just taken what was quality before and made it with cheap chemicals, and the taste completely changed. If you take a Cadbury bar from Ireland and a Cadbury bar from England and taste the two, it doesn't even taste similar anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still tell the difference between Cadbury's and Nestle, but you know, it's
very different.
And using environmentally destructive chemicals like palm oil and things like that instead of, and only to save a few pennies as well, is very disgusting.
Yeah, but the people love Cadbury. The English people like him.
Yeah.
Well, there was, I think now no.
Yeah, well, we still eat it because for us, it's the taste that we like. And it's still, for example, if you compare it to like a Milka, if you gave an English person two, they would still rather enjoy the taste of Cadbury's hot chocolate or something like that. And we use it for cooking as well. But we would rather that it was produced in the UK and it was produced with the original recipe and pay a little bit more for it.
Okay. I think about Cadbury well, was a day, it's like a 2 hours. Yeah. And it's good to see the exhibition they make in the chocolate, but it's more for children than for adult people, I think.
Well, yes. It is.
Because it's sad because it's like a show, the factory empty. Nobody inside.
Yeah.
Only 3 workers.
Yeah.
And the people is selling the tickets.
Yeah, it was very strange.
The shop.
Exactly. You go inside, and it's a huge factory. You can't imagine how big. Like, it would take you a day just to walk around. It's like I told you, it's a whole town he made.
Yeah.
The actual way it's all done is massive.
Yes.
And there's nothing there. You just go inside. They have like a museum where they show you the history, which is really very nice. And then afterwards, you go to the bit where the actual production is done, and it's just an empty floor.
I know. And you had to make the picture. And pay for the picture.
Oh, you have to pay, because you have to pay extra for the picture.
Yeah.
And then you exit through the gift shop where you can buy the Americanized chocolate. Yeah. Not even made in that factory anymore.
And not very cheap, because I thought it was super cheap, but not very cheap, no?
No, it's not very cheap. No. Because of course you have to send all the ingredients brought to the UK, drive them to Poland, manufacture it, drive them or fly them back, wrapped, and then put them in a shop. It's so environmentally destructive.
Only the American people are making these stupid decisions. No?
It's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah. So now I think the future is going to be locally produced chocolate. You know, like a hipster style.
Yeah, I hope more than handmade. I think in all the countries and all the people, we need like handmade. Make again the things with really original and good flavors and really. Well, like environment, no?
Yeah, there was actually a documentary on the BBC a few years ago in the UK after the Cadbury thing happened, and a guy, his name was Charlie something, but he went to Africa and he bought his own jungle area, like a kilometre of jungle, something like that, and he made his own with cocoa plants ready there, and he made his own chocolate, and you can actually buy that chocolate in Waitrose now. It's the pure cocoa solid, and you have to make your own truffles with it. But in
Waitrose you can buy what?
The pure cocoa solid.
Oh, really?
It's not the confectionery like ready to eat sweets. It's in the baking aisle. Next you have the eggs, the flour, and it's like a round ball, and it's just 100% cocoa solid. I
will investigate because at the moment
you didn't.
Because at the moment I want to try to find like a Nutella, but not Nutella because I like oil palm, and absolutely all I found in every supermarket, Waitrose and Aldi, and all, they're oil palm. So I made the decision. I'm going to make myself my nocilla, because in Spain it's nocilla.
Yeah, Nutella. Yeah. I didn't know before you told me, and we went around Cadbury World how bad palm oil is. Yeah. And it's only because Nestle lobbied the European Union to keep it legal that it's actually legal here. It should be banned, really. It should be illegal. And in some countries, it is illegal, palm oil. And it's not just bad for the jungle. They cut down to grow it. Because they have to cut down virgin jungle just to grow commercial palm oil when there's cheap substitutes like milk available. Yeah. But also, it causes cancer. I mean, and it's not like one of these conspiracy theories like genetically modified that causes cancer. It actually directly causes cancer and is banned in some countries. Yeah. So it's amazing. And you look at our bread here, and every bread has got palm oil in it.
That I told you.
Yeah, you went out shopping and you couldn't find bread without palm oil.
When I was looking at the bread, I saw wow, oil palm, why?
Yeah.
Or fat palm. I thought, why? Why? Here you have in England the oil. We will talk the next day about this. Maybe.
Which one?
The rapeseed.
Oh, rapeseed though.
Rapeseed. I didn't hear never before.
Oh, well, if you wait until spring, we can go and take some photos because the fields look amazing. The whole countryside turns yellow.
So then in spring we will talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for seeing us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's all for today.
Yeah.
So until next Wednesday. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Received our first royal warrant from Queen Victoria. That was when my youngest son, George, joined us.
George introduced many benefits for the workforce, such as half-day holidays, a sick club, and many improvements in the factory.
And Richard, your new designs for our packaging were a huge success.
Well, we had to try something different, just to get ourselves recognized, rather, as we were still a small company.
I remember it was a struggle, but with every month's hard work, we managed to turn things around.
Our aim was to manufacture only the highest quality of cocoa in Chile.
I know, and I could tell you some stories of less scrupulous producers who added brick dust to their cocoa.
Ours was still gritty, but we only added sugar to take away the bitter taste and starch to absorb the fat. However, George had heard of a new kind of cocoa press. He went to Holland in 1866, saw the press being used and brought one back.
The Van Houten Press.
Oh yes, Father. You see, because we could extract more of the cocoa butter, there was no more.